Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above. In today's video, we're going to be focusing on the setup for this crypto market into a very important time of the year for not only just cryptocurrency, but the overall global economy and the markets as a whole. We're approaching the final moments of Q4 and the holidays are right around the corner. So this is definitely a time to be paying attention to this market for those investors who are looking to take advantage of one of the greatest buying opportunities in this cycle. And you guys know me, I am not one to hype anyone up. That's not my character. I'm very calm in how I deliver my gnosis. I'm a real one. So when I say what's to come for this market is an opportunity, that's because I have put in the countless hours of work to decode these markets and build my investment thesis around my decodes and technical analysis that I've done to give me clarity on what's next, so I can execute and take action on my plan when the market comes to me. So these are definitely exciting times for the Waters Above Wolfpack, just like the end of the Shemitah, transitioning into the Jubilee year, and the recent lunar eclipse. We were prepared. I'm super grateful for all of us to be experiencing this together as a community while it all unfolds. And also, just a reminder, the new month has started on Patreon. If you've been waiting to join, you could sign up today by visiting patreon.com/watersabove to join the Mastermind community or Trading Wolves membership and get instant access to my weekly Red Pill podcasts. That's my technical analysis podcast to wrap up the week, and for me to review the altcoins that our community votes on. And by becoming a Patreon supporter, you'll also get access to our Discord server for our community group chat, so that you could hang out with the Wolfpack and also unlock the biggest discounts on my courses. The Patreon link can be found in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below. And I also have a new decode I just posted on Patreon sharing my outlook on the rest of this year and how I anticipate us transitioning into 2023 with a substantial amount of evidence and date numerology connections to back it up. So for those decoders out there, I think you're really gonna love that presentation, as well as I recently released Red Pill Podcast 87, so you could enjoy that when you join the membership. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow our community. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. And just a quick reminder, because I've been having a lot of people reach out to me lately and getting feedback about how when I post new videos on YouTube that you're not getting any notifications. So a way to solve this problem is right down here after you subscribe, you can just see a bell show up. Like I mentioned moments ago, turn that bell notification setting on and you can put all, and that will give you a notification, as well as you can go to the settings on your phone for the YouTube app and turn on the notification settings for YouTube as well. It might help, especially when I'm about to go and do a live stream. So let's get into some of the dates and what we can be focusing on for this upcoming week, moving into this full moon on December 7th. So I have brought this up, and I just mentioned to you guys that I made a decode about the 49th week of the year. It's over on my Patreon. It's really breaking down things in depth around this upcoming week. So for those of you that are over there, you're going to get a lot of detail, but I have some more stuff to share here. And of course, today being December 1st, being 66 days since Rosh Hashanah, the end of this Shemitah year. And this date could be significant, especially with that 55 date numerology you're seeing right there. And we have that coming back to Satoshi Nakamoto and that 55 in Chaldean. And we've showed you many 55s throughout this entire year because of Pluto's return and Platinum Jubilee and Queen Elizabeth, who of course died on her Platinum Jubilee. I mean, it's classic how important these number connections are, and all of it coming back to Satoshi. So with that being said, that 55 date numerology is pretty interesting. Then, of course, we have the full moon in Sagittarius on December 7th. So that will be 72 days since Rosh Hashanah, and that 72 comes back to Bitcoin. And you could see that right there, as well as this 23 being connected to the transition date. So this is the date that transits into the 8th of December, being 23 days left in the year. Again, we have that connection with Bitcoin right there with 23, as well as Jubilee with the 23, and several others that we've been showing. So one other connection about this date that's interesting is it's 73 days apart from Rosh Hashanah, and that 73 is actually the 21st prime number. So that 21 comes back into Saturn, and you could see that right there in Chaldean. Now, this is amazing because we're approaching Saturnalia, and Saturnalia starting on the 17th of December through the 23rd. So that is like the purge, and that has everything to do with what later became Christmas. So it's amazing how this is a Roman holiday dedicated to Saturn, but yet Santa Claus is given, the modern interpretation of it all. And these were like the lawless days, so also called the best of days, but this is where pretty much anything goes. And even they would be a flop between slave owners and the slaves. And the slave owners would actually be the ones that are serving the slaves on those days. It's a really interesting to learn about this holiday, but it was dedicated to the god Saturn. It's important we pay attention to that because we just left the year of Saturn with the Shemitah, and now we're currently in the year of Jubilee, the 50th year in that cycle. And why this is so amazing is because this will actually be in the 17th of December in the 50th week of the year. Excuse the barking of the dog. I am traveling and I have to deal with that. But getting back to the video, this will be the transition into the 50th week of the year. And you could see that we will be in the 50th week on that day of the 17th and 18th. Really amazing because that 50 being tied to Jubilee. So incredible. And one other thing to show you guys about this 73 number is how Saturnalia actually gives you 53 in reverse reduction. So I do have a full decode talking about this entire time frame over on Patreon, as I mentioned below, but this couple of dates to consider is a window of time between now and this upcoming full moon. Got to pay attention to it, guys. So also, before we move on, if you like the video, go ahead, give this a little like spike. And now we're going to move into some TA. So we see that there was a recent pump on Bitcoin moving up into this little time of past couple days. And we had the 333rd day of the year, followed by 33 days left in the year. I talked about that in my last YouTube video. So of course, during that time, we have a little fake out to the upside, and then we know we have our full moon around the corner. Full moons are typically a bearish energy. New moons are typically a bullish energy. We had our new moon somewhere around here. We did move up slightly into it in the structure, but now we have this fake out to the upside, and this is beautiful to watch unfold because I do believe this will be a fake out followed by a rejection and coming back down. But I want you to look at this pattern, how we have this pattern. We were riding on the outside of it as a clear resistance. We broke above it, and now this can potentially flip into a new support. So we want to look out for this. If we do get rejected and fold back over, we could ride the outside of this trend line. So let me just extend the trend line a little bit and show you what I'm talking about. So we could have a moment like this. That would be very odd, especially with this upcoming December full moon. I would suspect we actually reach down into 15,000 again for this upcoming full moon. So that is my outlook. And that would be under the condition of closing dailies below 16,200. And remember, this is only a pattern of a couple of weeks. So this trend line so far as a resistance, it does matter a lot because there's clear touch points, especially with those weeks straight of daily closes getting rejected at that level. But ultimately, what I want us to pay attention to is how closing low in the structure should shift us down into the next closure low, somewhere around 15,760. So definitely keep that in mind. And I'm just sharing this little drawing here because typically when you break out of a resistance, you come and back test it as a new support. And that's a very bullish thing, but it would only be bullish if you were to break your local highs. So for all we know, by the end of today closing, videos coming out a little bit earlier just because I'm traveling, but we can see that there's a potential for this candle to get absorbed into the end of the day, and this can all be washed out. We could have a daily close that's still only 16,500 or even less, but those conditions aren't as important. We want to pay more attention to like the lunar cycle, and we want to pay attention to the fact that this is just a continuation of a downtrend. So as I said in prior videos, until we're really breaking above like 19,000, there's nothing to write home about here. We can snap right into 19 and then fold over ultimately and have that be the entire month of December leading into the January full moon. So I know that might be a little bit confusing for people here, but I just want to quickly summarize and say that until we get through the January full moon, we are not out of the weeds in the crypto market, okay? Pay attention to what I just said. So you need to be open-minded. This is, I know it's a lot because we're in crypto and 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, it never stops trading, but you really want to like calm down right now and spend time developing your investment thesis. And when you're hearing me talk about these things, have an open mind to the fact that we're just in the final moments, and even then that could take, you know, about a month and a half or so. But if we were talking in stock terms and I was talking to a professional stock trader, they'd be like looking at it as if I was crazy if I said that 30 days was a long time, because they're used to 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to see the type of volatility that we're getting in a single week, you know? So I just want to remind you of that, to be patient right now and to kind of look at this bottom, as we're calling it, as a big time frame. It takes about 1 year for crypto, 1.5 years for certain altcoins. So you just want to consider it as such, that I believe we're in the final moments of planting in that bottom before we shift into an automatic rally, which has everything to do with March and April of 2023. So like I said, the wolf pack is prepared. Exciting times ahead, because getting in at these lows before an automatic rally is an amazing opportunity. So getting back to the TA, this is something to consider on this trend line, but ultimately today's daily close into the monthly open will be critical. Just want to pay attention to that, because conditions over this daily close right here is pretty good. And that's exactly why we're seeing resistance, because that would be the green candle close in our structure to pay attention to, the one on November 15th. And that was coming in at a closure of 16,873. So ultimately, getting above that on the daily close would be positive, but really nothing to write home about. Let's look at the 2-day and see if anything's going on. Okay, so the 2-day closure would actually be looking pretty good if it was to be the way that it was today. But this can easily turn into a Twin Towers candle. We see them happen all the time, even like here, where we get this big, shift to the upside, and then we even have this red wick followed by a huge correction of about 7%. So don't want to get too excited right now if we're seeing upside leading into a full moon. That's really what I'm trying to warn people about, because I do get critics sometimes who say the lunar cycles don't work, this, that, and the third, and then we pass through the 5-day window and it all kind of figures itself out perfectly every single time. So again, patience gets rewarded. Now, the downside below this level of 15,700, we brought it up in the last video, so I don't want to reiterate that too much, but that would be those conditions down into like 13, 14,000. Watch my last video if you're interested in more TA on that. But in the short term, really closing above these levels, we can swipe up to 17.5. I do not see us going higher than that 17.5, 18,000 at this time. It'd be highly unlikely unless something really bizarre happens and we get some volume coming into the crypto market. But given everything that's unfolded with FTX and SBF and all these exchanges getting shut down, etc., I wouldn't get too caught up in the idea that we're going to see Bitcoin come up to something like 19,000 first before at least retesting 15,000 one more time. So again, my overall thesis stands that I see downside overall before a significant upside for Bitcoin, and that will be a good transition point into Ethereum. So let's look at ETH, where we're seeing these levels are just beautiful. So we have this yellow trend line. I haven't looked at this chart in a couple of days, so I'm glad that I gave it some time. We just come right back into that level, having some resistance. Perfect. So this would be a good area to come chop back down to about $1,100. Keep that in mind. That is your horizontal trading level, just like it was back here. And let me show you on this other chart that we've been looking at, and we could have This looks amazing. So these horizontal levels are super helpful right now, guys. Notice being trapped in this median area, breaking through it, and now we're right back into this horizontal trading range below, showing resistance on this multi-week horizontal trading range of, it was about 1 month actually. So until we start breaking above 1370, there's really nothing to get excited about. That's your overall bigger resistance level. But in the meantime, being below this level right here on the daily close would signal that we're probably likely to retest 1080 one more time before going up to like 1670. So just think, I'm sharing the horizontal levels with you. I'm giving you numbers, but I'm telling you the conditions of direction before and the way you could anticipate it all. So that would be more than likely to fill out this area more. And I would like to see ETH swipe below 1,000 one more time. And happening into the December full moon as late as the January full moon would be really awesome. And again, the market doesn't do what I want, but I see that in the cards more likely than us breaking structure and going into a reversal. So that would be any conditions above 1,700. That's highly unlikely at this time. More likely just chop in the lows, fold over, probably trade lower, and then eventually move higher into the new year. So let's look at XRP, because XRP has been recovering slightly, and even structurally it's looking pretty solid. But like I said to people many times, this is the trend line to pay attention to. This trend line stands, and I am just so blown away how we continue to go back to it over and over and over again. I also shared that as we get into like February of 2023, this trend line I suspect will be invalidated and we will not be using it anymore unless the suppression of XRP continues, and that would be pretty unfortunate. But in the meantime, holding above this level, you noticed how we had many rejections at this yellow trend line. We had all of these rejections going back here. But lately, since we got above it, we back tested it. And even on this big red candle, we came right back up to this and closed a daily on it as a support. That's a very good sign. So ultimately, if we see 40 cents, 0.407 become daily close above that, that condition would be met potentially for even a swipe up to 44 cents. But I made in my last 2 videos, I was talking about how 40 cents again one last time before keeling over would make sense. And we got that condition almost to 42 cents a couple of days ago. So beautiful to watch that all play out. And thus far, still the same story overall. So I should probably leave it at that, because our downside conditions are still stand at 31 cents to the downside, and somewhere around 42, 44, probably no higher than 44, but more likely below this trend line. And that could happen first for XRP before folding over, but the condition has already been met on November 25th. Really doesn't make much difference anyways. We're talking about fractions of a penny. So again, just to quickly summarize what I'm seeing, I do think we're moving up bullish into this monthly close, and on the monthly open, we're going to have a couple transition days, probably the first 2 days of the month, and then by the 3rd, 4th, 5th of December, we should start to see that bearish energy kick in, more likely downside before significant upside, and that will be an opportunity. So I will leave the video at that, kind of make it a little bit of a shorter one today. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I appreciate every single one of you. Wishing you all a beautiful rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.